welcome back to Virtually BGCMC. Again, I'm Mr. Johnny. In this video, I got a new draw along for you, and we're going to be drawing Totoro from My Neighbor Totoro. So grab your paper, pencil, and eraser, and let's dive in. Okay, here we go. We're starting off with a big basic shape here, which is pretty much his head and his body in one shape. So what we're gonna do is here right in the middle, we're gonna do a big egg type shape, making sure it's thinner on top, and as it goes down, it gets nice and wide. Okay, starting off nice and light, as we usually do. Just because as we draw, we're gonna make some mistakes and need to make corrections here and there and add things. So when we draw lightly, especially to start off with, then we're gonna be able to erase and make those corrections and adjustments a lot easier. So here we go, we got our egg shape in place. Don't worry if it's not exactly perfectly even. Just as long as you got the basic shape in place, that's going to be good enough. So from here, I'm actually going to draw a midline going right down the middle. And this is the vertical midline, and the horizontal midline, instead of doing a straight line across, what I'm going to do is draw a line with a curve in it, like so. What this is indicating, or what this is guiding us to draw, is the separation between his head and his body. Okay, so we got our guidelines here in place. We're gonna do a couple more basic shapes before we start adding the details, and that's gonna be the feet and the arms here. So for the feet, what we need to do is come right here in the middle where that midline is, and we're gonna draw an upside down V shape here, like so. Okay, and from there, the feet are gonna go out straight across this way. No need to go too far out, because as you can see, his feet don't even go past the width of his body here. So just about here is good. Once you get there, we draw a line angled back up to the body this way. Okay, same thing for this side. Straight across first. No need to go too far. Right back up. Here we go. All right. Keep drawing this part lightly still. We're still in the early phases, and we're gonna add a lot of furry texture to them. So if you're drawing these lines too dark, it'll kind of make your drawing look a little bit unclear once we start adding more detail. Okay. Now the shapes for the arms, I'm gonna find this midline again, or this guideline that we drew. I'm gonna go up a little bit past that to about here. And the curve going down goes out first. And then as we go back in, we wanna make sure this part is shorter here, and this part is longer. You see how this is the peak of the curve, and then once we get past that peak, the arm gets pretty short here. Okay, same thing for the other side. Finding that midline, going up just a little bit. Try to get it even with this arm. Again, if it's not perfect, that's okay. We're just eyeballing it here. Going down and right back in. Okay, body, arms, feet. Last basic shapes we need to do are the ears. These ones have a little bit more are a little bit more complex than what we drew already. Let me show you what I mean. So with the ears, the basic shape actually comes in two parts. First, the base of the ears are going to be just a couple lines going up this way, like so. And then the top of the ears, we're going to go out and up, almost like a kind of like an arrowhead shape, or maybe even the shape of those candy corns that you see during Halloween. Okay, same thing on this side. Two lines here. We want to make them pretty skinny. Base of the ear, and then we go up and out, and right back in. Okay, still keeping it nice and light. Those are the basic shapes that we need. Now we could start adding the detail. So what I like to do first is we'll start from the head, and then actually let's start from the very top and work our way down. So with the ears, these lines here, they don't have to be completely straight. Actually, if you put some squiggles in your lines here, it gives it the appearance that it's more fluffy and furry for the ear. So if you don't want to make your lines completely straight, that's one way to go, just putting some squiggles in there on purpose. And then it gives that texture that you're looking for. What I mean by texture is just texture is something, how something feels. So for example, this paper has a smooth texture. So does this board I'm drawing on. With Totoro, his texture is soft and fluffy and furry, right? So that's kind of what we're trying to show. Here at the base of the ears, all we need to do is draw these zigzags going down. Okay. And then as you can see, when I draw these zigzags, those light guidelines that I drew before, they kind of disappear, and all you could really notice are these zigzags. So that's one reason why I want you all to try to draw as light as you can in the early stages of the drawing. Okay, same thing here, zigzags. And then tracing over these parts with some squiggly lines. There we go. If you want your drawing to look a little bit more clean and erase these guidelines here that we drew earlier, you could do that. Especially if you want this to be a nice, clean, finished drawing, I do recommend erasing all those guidelines that you don't need anymore. But if you're just practicing for sketching purposes, you could leave all these guidelines in. Sometimes I leave them in, and they actually help when I go back and look at a drawing to just help me remember how I drew it in the first place. Okay. So before we start adding more of this texture, what I want to do are the facial features in here. And to start off with the eyes, we're gonna do a couple circles for the eyes. And what you want to keep in mind here is that they're actually really close to the side of the head here. Okay, so I got a circle there, and then I'm going to come over to this side. I want to try to make sure again, as much as I can, that these eyes are on the same level here and here. Okay, that looks pretty good to me. So I'm going to go ahead and add the pupils in here just to finish off the eyes. Okay, dots right in the middle. That's simple. Okay. The reason I wait to draw the pupils is because I want to get the eyes in place first, and I could see if they're even and pretty much more or less the same size. And then I want to finish off the details. So for example, if I were to do this eye, this complete eye first with all the details, the pupils and all that, and then I end up doing this eye after and something looks off, I don't want to have to go back and erase the whole thing to make that correction. Okay, so moving on, we got the eyes in place. Now for the nose, we want to use this midline that we drew here to make the nose pretty even, right? So the nose is going to be an upside down triangle here. We'll start with the top of the nose going straight across, and then we'll come down here to the point, still using this midline to guide us, and then bring it down here to this point. What you could do also for the nose, here I made it more of a triangle, and in this one I did it a little bit more rounded here on the bottom. Either way works. I would say it's up to your preference on how you want to draw him. And what I say all the time in our live sessions is that the cool thing about art and drawing in general is that you are the artist and you're in control of your own drawing. So if you want to make a triangle nose, you could do that. Or if you want to make it more rounded, you could do that too. It's really up to you. So eyes and nose, next is the mouth. So the mouth is actually going to be another upside down triangle shape. You'll notice with this character that the triangle shape is going to be repeated a lot. So I'm going to go the top with the top here. Just going straight across for the top of the mouth. And then for the bottom, we're going to, again, do this triangle shape. But what I'm noticing on this drawing is I made this line here a little bit too high because there's not much room left for me to put a big mouth, a big smiling mouth on him, right? So what I'm gonna do is make an adjustment on mine here. And I'm gonna lower this belly line just a little bit, about up to here. So this is one reason, well, another reason why I would like you all to draw lightly at first, because when you need to make these corrections like this, it's going to make it a lot easier. Okay. Now coming down here, going back to the mouth, we're going to go down this way. I'm using this midline still as the guideline. So this is going to be the bottom of the mouth here. And then here as well. Okay. I think that looks pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and darken up these lines here. Nice. And then as I draw the teeth, the way I approach it is to kind of make it, it's a way to make it easier for you to make the teeth pretty even. So I start from the middle here, and I'll draw the gap in the middle. Again, using this midline, this midline is coming in a lot of handy during this drawing. So I use that midline first, go over here, off to the side, and then draw the next tooth. And what I do next is back to the middle here, and then I'll go on this side and try to match it with how far this line is. I'll try to match it here on this side. Okay. So we got the front teeth, and then I just do that all over again until we get to the end of the mouth. Here, I'll put a tooth, or I'll put a line about here, and then I'll find it on this side and try to match what I did here. So really the idea is, if you were to fold this in half, each side would match up. Again, it's not going to be exact perfect because, you know, we don't have a ruler or anything like that to measure, but really just close enough is what you're going for, that balance on each side. When things are the same on each side here, they call that symmetry. So we're trying to get this character to be symmetrical. Okay. So from here, we could add some whiskers going out. Just find 3 spots around the mouth. 1, 2, 3. What I try to do with the whiskers is not make them all the same size. Having a little bit of variety in your size, it makes the drawing a little bit more interesting, I think. 1, 2, 3. Because when things are too symmetrical, too much the same, then I think the eye, when people are looking, could get a little bit bored because they're seeing the same thing over and over again. So that little variety it just spices up your drawing a little bit. Now coming down here to the belly, we're gonna start working with all this furry texture here. I'm gonna use this guideline to follow as we put our texture. So just making these little spikes here and there. Again, variety is the key here. So as you can see, I'm making some big ones here, and then I'm not going all the way to the end. If you see, there's a little space between where the belly ends and the rest of the body. So here, I'm gonna stop about right here and start going down. And these texture lines are gonna be a lot smaller. See, adding that variety. So as we go down, you know, that your texture doesn't even have to be all the same shape and size either. So some of these are spikes, and then some of these lines are just squiggles like we did up here for the ears. Anyways, as we go down, the target we're searching for is right here in between the feet. That's where the belly ends. And once you get there, we could go right back up, again, adding texture, adding that side of the belly. Here, I'm gonna go small again. And then as we go to the top, I'm gonna make them a little bit bigger. There we go. And end right back at the center. So his belly, actually, now that I'm looking at it, it's kind of like a shield shape. That's what you wanna go for. Now, to get these patterns here on his belly, we're gonna do these shapes here. They're a bit like triangles again. Actually, they're more like boomerang shapes. So just like with the teeth, I'm starting in the middle, and then I'll do one on this side. If you see on this drawing, he has 2 layers, the top layer and the bottom layer. We're starting with the top layer with just 3. And then a trick I use to find good spacing for the bottom is if you look at the top layer, we have these gaps, okay? So I find a gap and then go below it, then I'll draw another one of these shapes. Find the gap, drop down, draw the shape. There we go. And then just repeat on this side as well. There we go. And last one here. All right, we're almost done. So to finish off this drawing, what we're gonna do around the outside of the body, again, is just add more of this texture so he has that fluffy look. So I'm gonna start here on the side of the head going down, you know, adding some variety, again, some big ones, some small ones. And then instead of following the body here, I'm gonna go straight into the arm, adding that texture here. Okay, same thing on this side. Texture going down, having some big, some small. And then once I get to the arm, I'm gonna follow the arm instead of the egg-shaped body. Here we go. Okay. So once I reach back to the body, what I want to do, if you notice here on the final drawing, we have a little bit of a gap. Okay. So here, instead of darkening up this whole line, I'm going to go here, drop down a little bit, and then just darken it up from here. Again, if you want to add furry texture, you can, or maybe just some squiggly lines to show the texture. Do the same thing on this side. For me, I don't like to put too much spiky, fluffy texture, just because I feel like the drawing could get a little bit cluttered and kind of messy. So I like to pick my spots where I put this kind of texture compared to just the normal squiggly lines. Then here for the feet, as we go down, we have the spikes. These, it's kind of like fur, but you could also kind of interpret them as his toes. So we got, I'll put 4 on each side. There we go. All right. Now, the only thing we need left is to put his claws in here. So we got a spike going down this way and one here as well. Same thing on this side. And there we go. But you know, before we call it a finished drawing, that we always have to go back and double check and just make sure everything is nice and clean and we didn't forget anything. So what I'm going to do here is erase these guidelines that we don't need. Just like that. Even the midline, we don't need the midline anymore. And there we go. Whoop, hang on a second. So when you take this extra step here, it's just going to make your drawing look that much better and more finished and polished. So I hope you take this last step. And really, the drawing part is just the start. You could leave it as it is, but also if you want, you could add anything else, color, background, other characters. You could really do anything that your imagination could come up with at this point. And we would love to see your drawings. So you could email them to virtualbgcmc.org. And we'd love to see your drawings. So you could send them in through email if you take a picture to virtual@bgcmc.org. And if you send them in, you could have a chance to be featured on our social media or webpage. Also, if you want to check out some of our live draw-alongs, you could check out the description and there's a link to our website where you could sign up to be a member. It's free. And if you sign up, we send the schedule out to any draw-alongs that you want to join live. So thank you for joining this video. Hope you enjoyed, and we'll catch you next time. Bye.